We are live. Okay, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. We will get started. We'll start with the prayer.
योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत् तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि.
Okay. So, welcome back. And I was just sharing with Rohit ji. It was a flood of questions after the last week's class. Maybe it's a popular topic, a topic which everybody is familiar with. So I'll try to do a quick recap of that same topic, because the main questions I got from the WhatsApp individual messages was, what is the etymological meaning of Om? Can you recap that once again? What is the Vedic meaning of Om? And a couple of other questions. Most of the, once I can put the whole questions into these buckets. Actually, in fact, I got around 24, 25 different messages on the same topic. So that shows how popular is that particular topic is. So before we get into that topic, we were talking about a topic called Ishvara Pranidhana. In yoga, how Ishvara Pranidhana is important. So a 2-minute introduction there. I don't want to do a deep introduction there. So we know that yoga is the Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Chitta Vritti Nirodha at different levels or different degrees is also yoga. The first level of Chitta Vritti Nirodha is, when I want, I can restrict the way I think, the way I feel. I can manage my thoughts and emotion, is the bottom level. The highest level is, I can even still the entire thought pattern and get a direct experience of Purusha. All these comes under the scope of Chitta Vritti Nirodha. At the lower stage, it can be considered as like Samadhi, which is a meditative absorption or putting my mind into a well-placed mental state. And it goes to the highest level, which is Asamprajnana Samadhi, which is I am able to control my mind without even depending upon any object. I don't need a particular object for my meditation, but I do have that entire control. And when you do have that entire control, you can have a face-to-face meeting with your own Purusha, which is the consciousness. So this is not easy. So gaining into a state of Samadhi is not easy. Forget about Samadhi. Gaining into a state of good meditation or even dharana or even pratyahara is difficult. The sukshma sadhanas are always difficult. It's very easy to say that you need to get meditative absorption on God or your breathing or whatever it is. It is not easy. So is there any catalyst, or is there any favorable thing I can invoke or I can practice or to accelerate this path? And that's where Patanjali introduced the topic, Ishvara Pranidhana. There is a simple way. You can surrender to that Ishvara, the order of the universe. So when you understand Ishvara, you need to understand the Ishvara as the order of the universe, not as a person sitting above the cloud and blessing you. If that is the idea, this verses, you will not get it. So the entire idea of the Vedic vision of Ishvara, we need to understand. So we spent a lot of time in trying to understand what is the vision of Ishvara. So that's where this whole topic came in. Now, on verse 26, we said Ishvara Pranidhana is going to help us. Means prior to that, we saw that surrendering to Ishvara is going to help us to accelerate this process in yoga. And we understood what is that Ishvara is. It is the order of the universe. I'm just highlighting that again. This is the classic definition of Rig Veda. He says, like, the wind flows in the whole universe because of whose governance? The sun rises in the universe because of whose governance? The plant absorbs the energy because of whose governance? The human body digests the food because of whose governance? The digested food is distributed to the entire cells of the human body because of whose guidance or governance? That order, that universal law, that intelligent order of the universe is Ishvara. This verse is quoted by Swami Vivekananda in the World's Parliament of Religion during his lectures on Hinduism. What is God? So this is the intelligent order of the universe is Ishvara. And that is the Ishvara you invoke. And that Ishvara can be invoked in any names you want, in any forms you want. Only thing is that you just need to establish that connection with that Ishvara. Now, when you have that Ishvara with a larger scope, which a larger dimension, which encompasses the whole universe, the scope of that Ishvara is universal, right? It doesn't restrict it with Indians, Hindus, human beings, the people of earth, nothing. The sun and the moon, stars, everything come under the scope of that Ishvara. The micro level atoms, subatomic particles, everything under the governance of that Ishvara. So if I want to give a name to that Ishvara, what is that name I should be using? And that's what we have been talking the other day. And that's where we spent 1 hour last week understanding that verse. So we will try to see that verse quickly and then we will move on. So let's listen to that sutra once again.
Tasya vachakah pranavah.
Tasya vachakah pranavah. This is the sutra. So if tasya, meaning Ishwarasya, the Ishvara is referred. The pronoun tasya here refers to Ishvara, loosely translated as him. That him includes her, it, everything. So please don't think that Ishvara is muscular. Not at all. So very careful, right? So tasya means if I use that, it indicates what? An inner thing. So we are forced to use some pronoun. So that's why it's him. Shankara in his commentary mentions that. Don't think that it's a muscular gender. Not at all. So that Ishvara, tasya vachakaha. Vachakaha means the word that indicates the name of the Ishvara. The name that designates Ishvara, the name that refers to Ishvara is what? Pranavaha. Om. The mystical symbol. Mystical always is confusing. Let's say that sound symbol. Sound syllable. Om names the Ishvara. If you can give one name to Ishvara, the best name is Om. Pranavaha. So Ishvara is represented by the sound symbol Om. That's what it means. So let's try to understand a little bit more and try to add a couple of slides based upon the questions received. So we saw that this Ishvara, the intelligent order of the universe, is represented by this sound symbol Om. One way of looking at this is, all of you studied the elementary algebra, right? So when you try to solve a problem, let's say that I brought 15 books to a class. I distributed one book to each one of the people sitting in the class. And I have 5 books left. How many books I brought? How do you solve in algebra? What is the first step? The unknown, you put a variable. Let X is the number of books brought to the class. How many people in the class? 15. How many books distributed? 10. Sorry, how many books I distributed? 10. So 15, X equal to 15 minus 10. Sorry, 10 plus how many books balance, right? How many books distributed plus how many books balance is there? So 10 plus 5, 15. So till I find the value of that 15, X is an unknown, which points or represents the total number of books brought. So in the beginning of your sadhana, you don't know what is that Ishvara is. You don't know, you know that there is an Ishvara, but you don't know what exactly is the scope of that Ishvara. You don't know that the entirety of that Ishvara. You never had experienced that Ishvara. So at that point of time, still you need a variable. So if you want to put a name to represent that larger scope of Ishvara, and that name should be a meaningful name. In Sanskrit, when you name something, that name is always significant. You don't randomly name as ABCD. Yoga means what? Yujyate iti yoga. Veda means with, that which to know. Mampra, manana trayate mantra. So when you name in Sanskrit, that name has some etymological significance. So if you want to represent Ishvara through a variable, through a sound symbol, what is that? It is Om. So that's another way of looking at it, Om. So the entire spirituality, the entire yogic tradition, entire Vedic tradition can be, if I translate that into the language of algebra, solving the value for Om is the entire spirituality. Isn't it? Simple. This is another way of looking at it. So solving the value of that Om is the entire scope of spirituality. And this Om is represented by the symbol Om, and the synonym is Pranavaha. So Ishvara can be approached, try to solve if you want to try to understand, you need to understand Om, and you need to solve the variable value for the variable Om, and that is what is Pranavaha. So we said, what is the literal meaning of the word Pranava? Praharshena nuyate. Praharshena means perfectly. Nuyate means praised or worshipped. Any worship you do in this world, any invocation you do in this world, it goes to Ishvara. Because eventually, all the worship, all the intelligence, all the order of the universe is Ishvara. Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, you may not call me as Krishna. You may call me as X, Y, or Z. Or you may call me as Krishna. Somebody may call him God as Allah. It doesn't matter. Everything goes to the same place. Because Ishvara is only one. And that Ishvara, that one Ishvara, which we call as Rama, Krishna, Allah, Father in heaven, it doesn't matter. That Ishvara is the most worthy to be praised. Praised means you're not saying that your head is nice or the face is lightning. No. You're recognizing the glory of that Ishvara. When you recognize the glory of that Ishvara, you develop that sensitivity. With that sensitivity, that natural appreciation comes to your mind. That is the praising here. So it's not that you just close your eyes and repeatedly chant a few mantra. That's not praising. That is mechanical acting. That's it. It doesn't add any value. So when you recognize that, look at my heart alone. See, till the day I born, up until now, this heart has never taken a single minute time off. It adjusts its flow, right? When you climb a staircase, you need more blood in your legs. So with the neural programming, it adjusts that. Oh my God, right? It's like every cell of your body needs energy. So there is a process that takes the nutrients and the oxygen to your every cells of your body. Imagine billions of cells are there. billions of cells. And immediately a recycle process happens. Just think about that one phenomena alone, you cannot but appreciate that order. So precisely put together. When you recognize that, I strongly suggest all of you read that one book I suggested, The Body. Every page you read, the book is written for a different purpose, right? The book is written to make you understand in layman terms what is how the body is functioning. That's it. But as far as I'm concerned, whenever I read one page of that book, I cannot but appreciate Ishvara. So when out of that appreciation, this surrender comes, and he is the one who is perfectly worth to be praised. And that is why he is known as Pranavaha, perfect, the one who is perfectly praised. And Pranava, the word indicates the Pranidhana also. So that's why Pranavam. So the meaning of the word Om symbol, right? So the best definition of the word Om is given by Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad 1-15. So he tells like Sarve Veda Yat Padam Anayanti, right? All the Vedas talk about one goal. All the scriptures of the world, means let's extend that word Veda to cover the entire scriptures, whether it is Bible, Quran, or any book in the world. Any scriptures talks about the world, about only one God. What is that? Know that reality, know that higher being, know that truth, right? Then he tells tapasvis, all the rishis, all the learned people, right? Sarvoti cha yat vatanti, the people, they talk their entire life. All the learned people talk about only one thing in their entire life. And then yatischando brahmacharyam charanti. A lot of people practice a life of discipline, the entire life of discipline for one purpose. Right? Then he tells tatpade sangrahena braviti. So I can summarize that entire scope of this whole thing, right? What the entire Vedas talk, what the entire sages talk, unto which all the meditators of the world, all the yogis of their world spend their entire attention. I can summarize that the entire thing into one syllable, and that syllable is Om. Same verse is there in the Bhagavad Gita chapter. Anybody remember? Chapter 8. Almost verbatim copy. It's there. But Om, where the Om meditation is indicated in the chapter 8, this verse is there. So this is the most brilliant definition of Om. So I was asked a specific question. That's why I added this and covered this. Okay. So linguistic meaning of Om, right? So last week we touched about this. Again, some questions was there. The linguistic meaning, if you go to the Panini's grammar, it tells Avati Rakshati iti Om. Om is Avati Rakshati. It means that which sustains, Avati. Rakshati, that which protects. That which sustains the entire being. Not just the human being. The laws of the nature, the plant, the animal, human, the governance of the universe. That which sustains the entire cosmos. Very simple. But huge scope. That which sustains the entire cosmos. Avati iti Om. Rakshati iti Om. That which protects everything. That which protects and sustains everything is naturally, it is the order of the universe. Right? Anything in this universe is perverted by that order. And that order is what we call it as Ishvara. Right? So this Om is used to name that Ishvara, which is essentially the order of the universe. My God, look at the scope of this one syllable. This is why every mantra, everybody will say Om, 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 Om. This is why Om is so much important. And I'll tell you, like, if you don't understand Ishvara as the order of the universe, you won't appreciate the meaning. But if the moment you understand that definition of Ishvara, which is given by Upanishads, Vedas, and the Yoga Sutras and the Bhagavad Gita, you will start appreciating the meaning of this Ishvara. So now, Mandukya Upanishad gives another beautiful name. It tells Bhudadi, Bhavyadi, right? So what had happened before? That is Buddha. What is happening now, right? That is Bhava. And what is going to happen, which is Bhavishya. Everything is just Om. Wow. Right? An ocean can say that yesterday I had 15 waves. Right now I have 30 waves. Tomorrow there will be a tsunami. I can say that everything is nothing but water. That's it. Yesterday I had a beautiful dream of Switzerland in my mind. Today I had a bad dream of like some unpleasant situation. Tomorrow I'll be having a different dream. I can say that all those dreams is nothing but my mind stuff. So whatever happened in the universe yesterday, whatever that is happening and what is going to happen, everything is sustained, maintained, governed by something which is the order of the universe. And that order of the universe is known as Om. This is Mandukya Upanishad. So these are the specific, those who asked the questions, these are the specific Upanishad quotes I was referring last week. I didn't give the exact line, but this is exactly, since you asked, clarified that. This is the linguistic meaning. Another meaning, right? The Vedic meaning, the spiritual meaning of the word Om, right? So Vedas explains, or the Upanishads explains, Mandukya Upanishad, to be very specific, explains Om has three parts, A, U, and We talked about this. If you open your mouth, A. If you close your mouth, it is and in between, it is called U. So it shows the entire scope of words you can make. So that's one way of interpreting. Another way of Vedic meaning A represents the physical universe. The physical universe. Whatever you can physically see, infer, like I cannot see what is happening inside the sun. I cannot see what is happening in the galaxy, but I can definitely infer it. And that is also part of the physical universe. What which comes under the scope of physics and chemistry is what is represented by A. And there you have a mental world or a psychological world. So whatever you can imagine, whatever thoughts you entertain, whatever emotions you experience, that scope is covered under by U. Whatever you experience in deep sleep. Because in deep sleeps, you don't experience neither the physical world, physical universe, nor the mental universe. So that is what is represented by Om. So the combination of, so if you add up these three, what does that mean? It covers the entire scope of your experience. If you add up the entire scope of your experience, it could be either physical or mental or deep sleep. Nothing more you can experience. So the entire scope of my experience is summarized into one syllable, and that syllable is called Om. I'll share the PowerPoint. So now the relationship of Om and its meaning, right? So the classic example is like an iron ball or an iron rod or a light or a lamp, right? So when the lamp is seen, when you see a lamp, you have to say that the light is there. The relationship between the light and the lamp. When the lamp is there, of course the light is there. So the moment you see the light, you have to infer that the lamp is there. Without the lamp, you won't see the light. So there is a relationship between the Vachaka and the Vakya. So now the relationship between Om and Ishvara is compared like the relationship between a lamp and the light. When you see the Om, you should infer, or you should infer that Ishvara is there. That's one beautiful way of explaining. Second thing is this iron ball, right? So this iron rod. What happens? When the iron gets vicinity of the road, right? Sorry, the fire, what happens? You can say that if I can make a word, right? The property of the fire get transferred to the iron rod. Even though the iron doesn't have the inherent quality or the properties of the fire, because of its close association, the road gets fireized, if I can make up a word. So if you touch the road, you will experience the properties of the fire, which is different from the road. So as a name, of course, Om is different from Ishvara. But because of its proximity, the overloaded meaning, when you contemplate upon the meaning, you get Ishvara. The word Om is Ishvaraized, if I can add that word. The qualities of the Ishvara you can visible when you contemplate upon the meaning of the word Om. So that's why the word and the meaning is kind of inseparable. It's that much proximity is there. This is called Athyasa, superimposition. Superimposition. Because of the usage, the word is overloaded with the meaning. And over a period of time, what happens? The word is the meaning. So Rigveda tells, there is a beautiful verse in Rigveda. It tells, in the beginning, there was only Shabda. And the Shabda was with Brahman. And the Rigveda concludes that Shabda, Pranavam, that vibration of the universe is nothing but Brahman. Is this sound familiar to you, any one of you? This particular usage?
That was what I asked last time.
Yeah. In the beginning, there was the word. The word was with God.
The word was God.
Word was God. Same sentence in Rigveda. So this shows how much the scriptures are aligned. So this is what it is. So since Ishvara is beyond my comprehension of my mind, yogi can use Om for meditation. This much we will cover. I know that people are so much interested in this. So we will, once we cover the Yoga Sutra, I promise we will go back to Mandukya Upanishad. Because so many people were asking me last week, we can start Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad, we need a little bit more preparation before we go there. This whole Upanishad with Gautapada Karika is talking only about Om. Any questions? High-level questions. Otherwise, we can cover that at the end. But
Rajesh, one question. So this can be said that it is more a reflected consciousness. It's not the actual consciousness, but Om is a reflected consciousness. Is that a good way of
indicating the actual consciousness? Even though it's like a pointer. The pointer is not the pointed object, but it points towards the pointed object.
Got it.
So in C, let's say that you put a variable A with a star to an object. A is different from that object, but through that object, you can actually control that actual object. So like that, it's a pointer pointing to the Ishvara, actual Ishvara.
Can we also assume, Rajeshji, that the pointer has the potency of Ishvara?
Absolutely. That's why that's why the relationship. See, this example is Shankaracharya's example. The iron rod, the fire and the iron rod. That probably is one of the brilliant examples. Yeah, there is a difference, but because of that close proximity, you will get everything. One cannot be more clearer, more, I think, specific than this.
I think when we talk about consciousness, it's not tangible. So Om gives that tangible thing to kind of connect with.
Right. See, it's something, God is nameless, formless, colorless, everything. So it's very hard to bring that God in within the scope of everything. So this gives every symbol is actually giving some that tangibility. Like when you worship God in the form of Lord Shiva, it's just like that. But you worship Lord Shiva, that form may not be connected with a lot of other people. And if you go back to, say, Father in heaven, that might be useful for that particular scope. But this is a generic symbol which doesn't have any names and forms, but at the very same time, it is tangible. That is the beauty of Om. That's why Upanishad spends a lot of time in this view of Om. So this is equally applicable to the Vaishnavites. This is equally applicable to Shaivites. Anybody and everybody in the world technically can do this. This is the beauty of the word. Okay, so we can continue. Okay, so let's go to the next verse.
Tajjapasthadarthabhavanam.
Now, how do I use this Om? Is it just to, like, I know some people in India, they just write Om before they write anything. Is that what the usage? Yes, that's good, definitely. How should I use this wonderful sound syllable to get connected with Ishvara? So he tells, Tat Japa, beautiful, right? Tat Japaha Artha Bhavanam. So Tat here means it's or Oms. Japaha means repetition. In yoga, Japa yoga is very famous. You just chant. That's a very powerful practice. And then Bhavanam, meditation or contemplation. So chanting or the repetition of the mantra Om and contemplation upon its meaning, Artha. Tad Japaha Artha Bhavanam. What do you think? Meditate. You think about the meaning. So repeat the name Om and contemplate upon the meaning. That is how you can use this symbol as a means to get connected with Ishvara. Again, it cannot be more clearer. The practice cannot be more clearer. It's so brilliantly explained. So let's try to see what exactly it is. So how to engage in the meditation of Ishvara, right? How to fix your mind on Ishvara. Because you need to understand that Ishvara is beyond Prakriti. Prakriti means anything you see as matter is Prakriti. So if you see a body, that is Prakriti. If you visualize Ishvara as the cosmic form, again that is Prakriti. So Ishvara's scope is much beyond Prakriti. And since it is beyond Prakriti, Prakriti means matter. Since it is beyond Prakriti, it is beyond the conceptualization of any vrittis. In other words, you cannot conceptualize Ishvara. It's impossible. You cannot try to conceptualize Ishvara easily. It is very hard. It is beyond words. It is beyond descriptions and it is beyond definition. Yet you can understand Ishvara. That's the beauty. He is beyond the words, beyond conceptualization. Because why? Because your mind can conceptualize something which is in the world, universe. Your mind can conceptualize something which is under the time and space. So how is it possible for you to conceptualize something which is beyond space and time? It's impossible. Look at the uncertainty principle of Heisenberg. That's not talking about this, but even that itself is a clear indication. Right? If a subatomic particle is there, it's impossible for you to understand the precision and the momentum at the same time. Even in the physical universe, you will not be able to conceptualize everything. It's impossible. So how is it possible? How in the world it is possible for anybody to conceptualize Ishvara? So Patanjali gives a simple means. Yes, the scope of the Ishvara, the consciousness, is beyond conceptualization. But this Ishvarized object, Om, the Ishvarized name, but you can understand fire, at least a little bit, by touching and feeling that iron rod. Like that, the recitation of the syllable Om, you can understand or you are contemplating upon the meaning of the word Om, you can understand Ishvara. This is like a hypothesis you have to take and try to practice it, because the Om is a loaded symbol and it stands for the Ishvara. And if you study the Mandukya Upanishad, that one Upanishad, you will understand Ishvara. That's what Patanjali tells. So the repetition of the name Om and contemplating upon the meaning of the word Ishvara is definitely give you an experience of Ishvara. So that's what it is, right? By constantly repeating Om, contemplating upon its meaning. What is the meaning of Om? We already talked about that. It is Ishvara. The mind of the yogi becomes one-pointed, right? And what is going to happen is the thought, the mind, the substance of the mind, the chitta of the mind of the yogi will be filled with Ishvara. Just like the proximity of the fire can fireize the iron rod, like that. See, if the iron needs to demonstrate the qualities of the fire, what you need to do? You need to bring the iron to the proximity of the fire. So if your mind need to demonstrate the quality of Ishvara, right? You need to bring your mind closer to Ishvara. So by the repetition of the symbol Om and contemplating upon the meaning of the word Om, what you are doing, you are bringing your mind towards the proximity of Ishvara and kind of Ishvarizing or sattvaizing the activity of the mind. So the chitta, your mind, will be saturated with the thought of Ishvara, and that way it helps you to calm your mind, it helps you to control your mind, and it helps you to absorb the knowledge of Ishvara into your mind so that you can have a face-to-face meeting with Ishvara. So this Om meditation can be used as a preliminary sadhana on one side, and it can go to the highest level of sadhana. This is the beauty of this meditation, Om meditation. So that's the meditation, Om meditation. So let's go back and chant that verse once again and try to understand that. So we heard
Tajjapasthadarthabhavanam.
See the sutra, when you study a sutra, it's my request that you try to listen to the sutra and contemplate upon the meaning, right? Tat japastartha bhavanam. Tat japa, the japa of the Om, and tat artha bhavanam. That artha. Whose artha? Om's artha, right? Tat japaha, the repetition of the japa of the word Om, and tadartha bhavanam. Tat means again Om, artha means meaning, bhavanam means meditation. So when you do that, it enables you to experience Ishvara. It's amazing, right? So this one, please use this. Please use this Om meditation. It is very powerful. So one more sutra we will see. What is the benefit of this Ishvara Pranidhana? That is the next sutra.
Tata pratyak chetanadhigamopyantaraya bhavascha.
Again, beautiful. Why should I do the... Now we come back to the Ishvara Pranidhana, right? So this whole Ishvara Pranidhana topic is getting concluded here because we saw in the last few verses why the Ishvara or the God is important in yoga. And this sutra concludes that topic. So he tells, Tata pratyak chetana. Pratyak means inner. Chetana means consciousness. So tat, from this, from what? Tataha here, you have to understand, right? These pronouns, where exactly you connect to the pronoun is very important. So tataha means Ishvara Pranidhana. So this Ishvara Pranidhana, what is it going to help? Pratyak Chetana, inner consciousness. What is going to happen to Pratyak Chetana? Adhigama. Adhigama means the realization or the understanding or the awareness. So with this Om meditation, you get the understanding of what? Your own inner consciousness. That is one benefit of Ishvara Pranidhana. And how it enables, how this Ishvara Pranidhana enables the experience of your Pratyak Chetana, which is the self-realization, is it abhava antaraya. Antaraya abhava. Amparaya means disturbances. Because, see, the consciousness is always within you, right? The Ishvara is always within you. The Purusha is always within you. But the problem is what? The reservoir of happiness is always within me. But what is the problem? I don't understand. Why don't I understand? Because of the obstacles, some obstacles. On a high level, we can say that it is Mala, Vikshipta, and Avarana. If I go with the Vedantic school, it is Mala, impurities, Vikshipta means it is the disturbances of the mind, and Avarana means veil. So that's what is preventing me from understanding the Purusha within. So here, Patanjali tells, this Ishvara Pranidhana is a means to remove all these disturbances of the mind, Antaraya. All the disturbances of the mind will be cleared and you will come to know your own inner consciousness, which is the Pratyak Chetana. So Om meditation or the Ishvara Pranidhana, to that extent, it removes all the obstacles in my mind and it enables my understanding, or it facilitates my understanding of my own consciousness. In other words, the goal of the yoga, if you really think about the meaning of the word yoga, right, there are two meanings. Yuj melane, yujrau iti samadhi. So the second meaning, Rujiro with Samadhi means you gain a pure, calm, controlled mental state. So this Ishvara Pranidhana enables that pure, calm, controlled mental state by removing all the obstacles from the mind. And then it enables the Yujyojane, which is the union of the highest. It enables me to understand my own true self, which is the Purusha. So this is the benefit of Ishvara Pranidhana. So let's try.
tat
So benefit of Ishvara Pranidhana, two results. One is the tuning the mind inward and gradual disappearance of all the obstacles. These are the two benefits. One is tuning the mind inward. I would even add, like, you will be granted the vision of the Purusha or your own consciousness. And various antaraya, like what is that antaraya in the next sutra? That is what we are going to see. What are all the mental obstacles comes to me? It is do not manifest as a result of the japa and contemplation of Om, or in other words, Ishvara Pranidhana. So this is what the biggest benefits of Ishvara Pranidhana. The benefits of Ishvara Pranidhana is twofold. One is it removes all the obstacles in the path of yoga. And the second thing is it helps me to see my own self, which is Purusha. So this is the three sutras we saw. Let's do a quick recap and let's do a quick connection of this particular verses from the whole sutra. So a quick recap of everything. We started this Yoga Sutra. When we started the Yoga Sutra, Patanjali said the goal of the Yoga Sutra is to help you to understand your own true self. That is the ultimate goal of the yoga. And this understanding of your own true self, it's a gradual process. And the first and foremost step is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. You need to have the ability to control your own mental activities. And when you control your own mental activities completely, what happened? Tada drishtuhu surupe avasthanam. You will establish in your own true self. Mind you, please understand, you think that you are the body, you are the mind, you are your imaginations. Absolutely no. They are the objects possessed you have, but your true nature is the consciousness. And when you do the Chitta Vritti Nirodha, what is going to happen is you will establish in your own true self, and Ishvara Pranidhana helps me to establish in my own true self. And if not, what is going to happen? Tada drishtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Otherwise, vritti sarupyam itaratra. Otherwise, I'll get identified with my own mental activities. And these vrittis are of 5 types. Vrittaya panchatayaha. 5 types of mental modifications are there. Some of them are klishta and some of them are aklishta. Some of them are beneficial in the path of yoga. Some of them are not beneficial in the path of yoga. And these vrittis are broadly categorized into 5 types. If you remember, they are pramana, means the vrittis that gives me the correct knowledge, viparyaya, the vrittis that do not give me the correct knowledge or wrong knowledge, and vikalpa, imagination, nidra, sleep, smritayaha, memory. And we also saw one more dicing and slicing in yoga. The chitta can be of the 5 states. One is vikshipta, which is the extremely disturbing or destructive mental state. Vikshipta, mudha, it's a dull state, depressing state. Then chitta, mudha, vikshipta means distracted. Ekagra means focused, Nirodha means controlled. Apart from Ekagra and Nirodha, none of them are desirable mental conditions, mental states. So the goal of yoga is to gain control over these vrittis, and the 2 techniques were given. One is Abhyasa, Dirghakala, Nairandarya, Satkara, Sevita. You need to have this long means practice, consistent practice, deliberate practice for a period of time. That is the time you get control. And along with Abhyasa, you need to follow certain disciplines and controls. And that disciplines and control is called vairagya, viragasya bhavaha, right? So your ability to say no to certain things, your ability to remove binding attachments from things, that is vairagya. So different types of vairagyas are there. And here we are talking about the satkara vairagya or para vairagya. So we saw that. And once you practice that, gradually you progress through different states of samadhi. The samadhi can be broadly classified into two. One is samprajnada and the other one is asamprajnada. Samprajnada means you will get a meditative absorption, but you need to have an object of meditation. And depending upon the type of object of meditation you need to have, this samprajnada samadhi is classified into four categories. Savikalpa, savichara, sananda, sa-asmita. One is you need a physical object. One is you need a subtle object. The third one is you are concentrating upon the happiness or the contentment that arises in your mind. And sa-asmita means you are focusing upon your own individuality. So these are the four types of samprajnada samadhi. And once you gain samprajnada samadhi, you move to this asamprajnada samadhi or nirvikalpa samadhi, where you don't need an object of meditation. You can gain control. At that point of time, what you can do is when you are the ability to see your own purusha, right? So this is what it is. And what happens? Some people, when they are born, because of the past karma, they are already in samprajnada samadhi, like Ramana Maharshi, like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, etc. They don't need, means they will continue their practice. Other people, they have to take it from the beginning. It doesn't matter. It means you can practice and eventually everybody will get it. And you can accelerate this path in spirituality through what? It is through the surrender to Ishvara. And we talked about who is Ishvara, the intelligent order of the universe. And if you put a name for the Ishvara, and that name is known as Om. And that Om we talked about extensively. So let's listen to the 3 verses we covered today.
Virama pratyayabhyasapurvah sanskarajeshunyah bhava pratyaya.
Sorry, I copied wrong file. Let's go and listen to the 3 sutras we covered today. Yeah.
Tasya vachakah pranavah tajjapastadardha bhavanam tata pratyak chetanadhigamopyantaraya bhavascha.
Beautiful, right? So 3 means this Ishvara is designated through the sound syllable Om, which is known as Pranava. How do you connect with that Ishvara? Tad japaha, tad artha bhavanam. You repeat the name of Om, Japa Yoga, and you contemplate upon the meaning of the Om. Tad japa artha bhavanam. And then the benefit of this Ishvara Pranidhana is your inner obstacles will be removed and you will gain a direct understanding or knowledge about your antaratma, inner consciousness. So that's the beauty. So that covers the topic today.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.